Welcome everybody! In today's Lightroom video I'm gonna show you everything about the spot removal tool, what the different sliders do, but also how you can get rid of more than just dust or dirt spots, such as for example complex structures such as these wires right here. Create your own professional photography portfolio and website with SmugMug. SmugMug offers beautiful templates, 100% customization, and all of that from as low as $3 a month. Check out the link in the description to learn more and to get your 14-day free trial today. Alright, so first thing you want to do is just zoom in into the area that you actually want to remove. So I'm just going to go to the stone to display you and to showcase you these two different options, which are heal and clone. So if I, for example, have a heal filter right here and I just add it above the rock, it tends to try to get something that kind of fits it, that it changes the color of it, so it really makes it look pretty natural, and as you see here, I mean, it looks pretty good. But what clone does is literally just clone an area one-to-one, so usually speaking, it doesn't work as good, it doesn't look as natural. As you see here, if I just do that, it really doesn't look close to as good as it did before with the heal tool. I use the heal tool all of the time. I've never found a use for the clone tab here, but if you want to play around with it, then feel free to do so. But everything I'm gonna say in this video is gonna be in the heal tab. And below these two tabs you have three sliders. I just reset them to default, but the first slider is size, and I think that's quite easy to understand. The bigger your object that you want to remove, of course, the bigger you want to make this, and the smaller it is. For example, if you just want to remove this little stone right here, you want to make, of course, sure that you don't have such a big actual spot removal tool. The second slider you have is feather, and this is quite important because as you see here, we have no feather whatsoever because it's at 0. But as I bring that to the right, you see kind of a second circle, and that showcases how big the feather actually is. So if I just leave it at 0 feather right now, and I, for example, go to this part of the rock, and I just press, you see that everything is very harsh. Even on heal, it doesn't really look all that organic, it doesn't really blend in with the rest of the environment. However, as I bring the feather here a bit to the right, you see, especially in the grass here, everything starts to look a lot more organic, it really fades in. And you don't really want to bring that to 100 because it can really be a bit too much, at least in my experience, but just go from anywhere from 30 to maybe even 70, really depending on the actual subject and the actual size of the thing that you want to remove. But definitely do not leave that at 0, otherwise everything will look very unnatural and very harsh. So let's just leave it at around 40 for now. And the third and last slider you have here is the opacity. And here, just leave that at 100, otherwise if you want to, for example, remove a little spot right here. By the way, you can also increase and decrease the size by scrolling up and down on your mouse, but if I want to remove that little rock right here, and I bring down the opacity, you will still kind of see it shimmering through. So just leave that at 100, it's really pointless to bring it anywhere below that. So now that we know the basics of the spot removal tool, let's actually go to a spot and show you what it does, because there's quite a bit of other things that you have to look for besides just the actual settings. So here we have a spot. And the important thing is that you have your inner circle completely surrounding the spot, so you don't want to make it like this, otherwise you might not remove it very nicely. You still have a little bit of an area there. As you see here, you kind of have a corner which really doesn't look good, so you want to make sure that you have the inner circle completely around your actual subject that you want to remove. And in terms of the feather, you really have to play around with it. It kind of comes with experience what you need, but Even just leaving it at 40 works pretty well quite a lot of the times. So after you've set your feather and especially size, just click on the actual spot, and Lightroom will try to find an area that covers up the spot while still looking very natural, very organic. So sometimes it doesn't do that great of a job. In that case, you can either right-click select new source, or just click on the / key on your numpad or on your keyboard. And what this will do is just try to find another place that kind of fits it may be better. And here you see it's a little bit of a difference, but you're gonna see the difference way more if you're gonna go to an actual rock. So let me just showcase you that with this rock right here. Once again, want to make sure that it completely overlaps the actual subject that you want to remove, and then just click on left click. And see here, it doesn't do that great of a job. Maybe / once again. I think that looks a lot better, and if I do it a few more times, you see it tries to find different areas to cover up that surface. And the simpler your actual texture is, for example, grass is pretty simple, water and sky is even simpler, then you're really not gonna have too big of troubles. But if you have a lot of different things and you kind of want to remove something in between two layers, for example, one object right here would be on the grass but also on the water, then it can become a lot more tricky. But for sky, it's really very easy. And if Lightroom really can't seem to find anything, you can also drag it around and try to find an area yourself. Although it's probably the best thing if you just / or right click select new source until you have a fitting place here. So if I show you before that one and after, you see it does a pretty good job, and even at zoomed in 1:1 it looks pretty much perfectly fine, and you wouldn't even notice that you removed anything there. So then let's zoom out again and go to this complex structure over here that I want to remove and really show you what I do, because you could try to just do something like that and try to get rid of it all in one go. However, quite a lot of times it will not work all that well, such as here. You see kind of the grass didn't work that well, the water looks fine, but at the end we can do a much better job if we just do it more carefully by selecting multiple areas and kind of doing it separately. I'm also going to illustrate that probably even better in another picture, but let's just do this first. And you see here we have pretty much this grass, this land area, and we have this sky or water area. So you just want to first of all zoom in. Maybe I'm even going to zoom in a bit more to 2:1 so I really see what I do. And once again, you want to make sure that your inner circle completely overlaps the actual thing that you want to remove. And because this is so small, I'm actually going to bring up the feather as well. And then just go along this line up until the shore. And first of all, make sure that this will look good, so it didn't really do that great of a job here. So once again, just / and see if Lightroom selects something better. This also doesn't work quite as good, so I'm gonna do it a few more times. This looks terrible actually. So it can really take a few seconds, a few times, but eventually you will get it. And I think that looks actually pretty good. So once you have that, just go to your next portion, in this case, the water. And by the way, if you have such a small line, you can also make it a little bit bigger, because if you're gonna draw along, it's very easy to kind of not make it as perfect if you just have it very tight. So I'm just gonna leave it there and draw along this line very carefully. You really want to do this stuff very slowly with not too high of a mouse sensitivity, otherwise you're gonna mess it up. And let's see what Lightroom does here. actually a pretty good job. I think that works perfectly. And it's really very, simplistic once you get the hang of it, but it's very important that especially if you have a large or a complex structure, that you use multiple spot removal tools rather than just one big one. So let's just do it again on the other line as well, and here I'm gonna go a little bit faster, but once again you want to make sure that you have the entire line within your spot removal tool, and I think it did a pretty good job right away. And then as before, just go to the sky again and choose this line right here up until the shore. And it's not really necessary every time that you do it within 2 filters or 2 spot removal tools. But if you have issues with one, then that can really solve the problem. So I think that did a pretty good job here. And if we zoom in or we zoom out here, you see it looks perfectly fine. And even if you would print this picture, you would probably not even notice that you removed anything there. So let's just see the quick before any spot removal tools here and go to, I had to delete something because this is a virtual copy on an already finished picture. But here you see we have this lens spot and we have all of these lines right here. And after it's just gone, it looks really good. And yeah, it's not really that difficult once you know how to use these different sliders and once you get the hang of the whole tool. But I'm gonna show you the whole process on a second picture anyways, and here we got a cow with some name tags or whatever on its ears. And I actually tried to submit this picture for a stock photo site and it didn't work because apparently that counts as personal information from the cow. But if you want to remove something like that, you really don't want to just do it with one big sized spot removal tool, because then it will really not come out that great. And by the way, I think if you have such big things, such complex things, it might be a better option if you just do that in Photoshop. But if you're like me and you don't have Photoshop, then Lightroom is pretty much your only option. So as I'm gonna showcase here, if I just use one big filter, it will probably not come out any good, and you see it doesn't look natural whatsoever. Even if I try to select a new source, I will probably not get anything that looks good there. So in such a case, you just want to delete the big filter and do it with some small filters, with multiple small filters, so you really have control over everything. So first of all, I'm gonna bring down the size, and the feather I think at 38 works perfectly, and just start with the top thing right here, just something like that. Then try to select a new source here. Of course it does it automatically, and it's quite slow, but this was a terrible thing, so once again just front slash, so it selects a new source. Let's just see, hopefully the other one works better. It really takes a long time. I don't think that one works that well either though. And doesn't work that well either. It can really take quite a bit until you actually have it, so I'm just gonna front slash fast forward until I actually find a thing or a cover up that looks good. So Lightroom actually found a spot right here. It's not perfect, but it definitely works a lot better than anything I've seen before. And we have a little bit of yellow towards the bottom, but we can very easily overlap these filters as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and put on the second line here. It's really depending on your actual complexity and your size of the subject that you want to remove. That determines how many different spot removal tools you have to use until you have the whole item covered up. But once again, I think this is gonna take a while until Lightroom finds something, so I'm gonna fast forward once again. So I kinda found something, once again not great, but I'm gonna go ahead and go on with the last line of spot removal tool right here. And I think we're definitely gonna have to fix the yellow cast over the entire place. Oh, look at that, actually Lightroom did a really good job at first. But yeah, you see we have kind of a yellowish tint here from the tag previously, and that is because of the soft feather. But once again, you really need that soft feather, otherwise it will look very harsh and very unorganic. So then if you just want to fix that, for example a yellow hue, just go to the adjustment brush, go into the minus saturation, and kind of brush over that area. You can of course also try to go into the blues or whatever to get an even better result, but I'm just gonna do it very quickly and not perfect here. But I think that is pretty much it. Keep in mind we're zoomed in very much here, so if we zoom out here and you wouldn't really know that there was anything, I think it would be pretty good. Maybe actually you would have to at least remove one of these things down here. So let's just try that right here, otherwise we have kind of too many brown spots. But yeah, let's just try to find another source. I think you get the idea of it, but it's really not the ideal way to do it, especially with such a big thing as this name tag. But it's probably pretty much the best option that you have in Lightroom, otherwise you would have to get Photoshop. So let's just zoom it out once again, and I mean, looks pretty good actually. You look at it very carefully right now because you know that there was something before and that we did something here. But I think if you would just randomly look at this picture, even for quite a while, it doesn't really look that bad. And once again, this was just a very kind of quick demo to show you how it works and how I use it. Of course, you could grab even another adjustment brush, kind of brush over this area, maybe go a little bit into the purple tint and make all of this look even more better, even more like it was already there. But as in the big total, let's just zoom out again and show you the history to see where we started at before removing that name tag. And that was actually here, and you see it's actually, you know, quite a big area of this image. And afterwards, once again, I think it did a pretty good job. You could definitely spend way more time and fine-tune that even more, but just for a quick demo for this video, I think it's a pretty good showcase to show you how pretty easily you can get rid of even such a big name tag as this one in an ear with quite a lot of structures, a lot of colors, and a lot of hair. And that pretty much concludes the video. I could of course show you more samples, but at the end I showed you all of my different techniques that I use. And at the end is of course different from picture to picture anyway, so I would really suggest you to go to your picture and just try out these different settings with the sizes, the feathers, and also try to get rid of a big object in multiple smaller spot removal tools. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, then please be sure to subscribe for other Lightroom videos, for the critiques, and even some on-location photography videos in the near future. Thanks again for watching, take care, and hopefully you have a great Sunday. But before you do that, don't forget to check out the link in the description to get your free SmugMug trial, so you can build your own professional photography portfolio, see how it works, see if you like it, all of that for 14 days absolutely free.